It's been 1 week riding motorcycles in Nepal with vintage rides. We rode to the incredible ancient walled city of Lo Manthang in Upper Mustang. Well, good morning. It is the last morning here in Lo Manthang in Upper Mustang, and from here on out we are going back down in elevation, headed back to Pokhara, headed back to Kathmandu to leave. I wish that I had more days in Lo Manthang. This town, this village is amazing. The people here are incredible. My interactions here have been only positive and so lovely, and I'm just sad that I don't get to spend more days here. Not gonna lie, I'm not looking forward to riding some of those roads back down. Some of them were kind of hard, so I'm not super looking forward to that, but I'm excited to get to experience some of that landscape again because it was really beautiful. Today we're headed to Day Village. We're gonna stay in like a homestay. It's not gonna be a hotel by any means, so I'm really excited about that. But it's also supposed to be really cold there tonight, and it's still gonna be above 12,000 feet, so there's that. I surprisingly have not experienced a whole lot of negative effects from the altitude. I feel really fortunate for that. I definitely am a little out of breath all the time. Just like feeling like you have to go. I woke up a couple of times in the night, like because of my own breathing. Body is just naturally trying to take deeper breaths because you're getting less oxygen with every breath. And occasionally, like if I walk around for a little while, my heart will start like racing like really fast. But otherwise, I have, knock on wood, not experienced any headaches, no nausea, I don't feel sick, which is amazing. I feel very fortunate that I didn't have to take any of the medication that I brought with me so far, knock on wood. I'm still gonna sleep super high elevation tonight, but so far so good. I think that the tour has done a fantastic job of setting up each checkpoint for us to sleep at so that we really naturally acclimatize before we come up super high. So good job, Ride Vintage. Well done. Fantastic. Okay. We gotta go. When I came back out to my bike, I saw that the wonderful Subhash and Santosh had did their best to help me fix my 360 camera mount that had actually broke the day that we entered the wall city on day 6. Just another piece of gear that did not survive the rough roads out here. Rolling out of Lo Manthang, I felt incredibly sad to be leaving someplace so quickly that I felt like we had worked so hard to get to. 1 0 day here just was not enough time. Then we came around a corner and discovered that Pascal's muffler had rattled off. That's pretty impressive, Pascal.
Les deux ont cassé.
Ouais.
Tu as roulé. Du coup, je pense que là celle-là, c'est. Hein?
Descendez jusqu'à.
We rolled into the closest village and watched Subhash do his magic with the assistance of the local mechanic in his shop. This was just the first time today where we were all extremely grateful to have a support car with tools and spare parts, and also for Subhash, the mechanic, to be with us, because this would have been an incredibly long day without them. But more on that later. We descended into this massive riverbed. We would cross it about 3 times on this day and once more the next day. It was impossible to comprehend the scale as we ascended out of the river valley and headed towards Yara village. As we struggled up the incline, our group became more and more separated, and halfway to Yara, George had a flat tire. So I rode ahead to tell the rest of the group what had happened, and our guide went back to help George and meet up with our support vehicle so that Subhash could make the fix. While we waited, we got to interact with a few of the adorable locals in Yara. They were preparing for a celebration, and some of the teenagers practiced their English with me. Hello! Hello! Hi!
Hello.
Turns out that red light, green light is a universal game no matter what language you speak. Our group reunited and we rode up to an incredible viewpoint to look down on the valley. We rode back down the tight canyon to have lunch in Yara. Everyone at the guest house was also getting dressed up for the celebration in town, and Tashi explained that someone in the community had passed 60 and was becoming an elder. I had a lovely kind of curried vegetable with no spice for my tummy, and it was delicious. We left Yara, and I started to have power issues with my bike. I hoped it was just a fluke. We rolled back down the big hill to the river basin and backtracked to a different crossing point where we rode over 2 very sketchy feeling log bridges that emptied us out into some very deep, loose riverbed gravel. From there, we climbed a steep incline, while a large, dark storm dumped rain in the mountains across the valley. As we ascended, I could feel the loss of power as my bike struggled with the elevation. I felt like I was riding a moped and had to doggy paddle at points to get the bike up the steep hills. We stopped at one point so Subhash could adjust our carburetors when some of the other people in the group also started to experience power loss. I felt so relieved when we finally rolled into Day Village. Only 6 families remain in this little pocket in the surrounding mountains. We would be staying in the home of one of the last remaining families. They made us food as we huddled together in their kitchen, where the only source of heat as the temperatures dropped to 30 outside was a little stove fed by yak patties. Hi, sweetie. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. I got to try yak butter tea, which essentially is hot homemade butter. It was such an incredible privilege to sit in their home while they made us food. They made dal and potatoes and rice and some cabbage, and it was so good. We all slept in one room on yak mats on bench seats built into the walls of the house. I was very, very glad then that I had brought my own pillow and my quilt, so I was nice and toasty warm. Waking up on day 9, I reflected on what a special experience it was to get to come to some of the most remote and rarely visited villages in Upper Mustang. Lo Manthang was an incredible place that I will remember for the rest of my life, but Yara and Day are rarely visited by the trekkers who make it to Upper Mustang. They felt like time capsules, snapshots of a way of life that is gradually changing. What is it called to feel nostalgic for a way of life you've never actually experienced? Actually, I looked it up. It's called anemoia, nostalgia for a time you've never known. Your brain cobbles together a rose-tinted simulation of places or times based on stories or accounts of those things you've heard, or photos and videos you've seen. Then your brain yearns to experience those things for yourself, especially if you're struggling in your present circumstances. Anemoia is not the only word for this experience. There's also Sehnsucht, a German noun translated as longing, desire, yearning, or craving. Some psychologists use the word to represent thoughts and feelings about all facets of life that are unfinished or imperfect, paired with a yearning for ideal alternative experiences. I could go on and on because there seems to be an endless amount of terms to describe this feeling that seems to reduce to a longing for a romantic notion of alternative events that we think would be better than our current ones. I'm under no illusion that living in this desolate area would be easy, or for lack of a better word, better. than my regular life. What I think caused this feeling in me is really the idea of returning to true community, where everyone relies on everyone else, and your biggest worries are about the necessities of life: water, food, health, shelter, and your relationships within the community. I know that is a gross oversimplification, but as stated, Anamoya has zero basis in reality and is almost wholly based on assumptions from a very limited amount of information. In contrast, the family we stayed with in Day shared that this was one of the few times they've actually gotten to see their daughter in a while because she goes to school in Kathmandu, multiple days of difficult travel away. The handful of other families that are still in Day are always walking the line of should they stay or should they go, as their children also receive higher education in Kathmandu and choose not to return to the harsher life in Upper Mustang. We stopped at a school that houses many of the children from surrounding villages. Their homes are too far away for them to go home every day, so they are boarded here during the school year. One of the local teachers talked about the difficulty of keeping educators, since even volunteer teachers who come to teach the kids have to pay the daily permits to be in Mustang at all. I struggle to wrap my head around all of these experiences. I spent the rest of the day in a little bit of a daze, staring at the mountains around us, feeling disassociated from my body, in absolute awe. We rolled into Samar for the night, and I crawled into bed without dinner because I had a bit of a stomachache. I was overwhelmed and was in a little bit of denial that we would be leaving this otherworldly landscape in the next couple of days. Question for my end screen crew: let me know if you have felt that sense of nostalgia for something that you've never experienced before. I'll see you guys later.